All right, so in this problem, you're asked to write an equation in standard form for the line shown on the graph. So first of all, let's talk about what standard form is. So standard form looks like this. It's ax plus by equals c. That's standard form. All right. Now, standard form, to me, I tell my students it's the least useful form because the A, the B, and the C don't really mean anything. The other forms that we have for linear equations, the different coefficients and constants give you something about the graph. So we have a choice. We're not going to start off by writing it in standard form. So we can either write it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, or we could write it in point-slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, get my pointer here so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is slope-intercept form. In slope-intercept form, the m is the slope of the line, which we can easily find from the graph. And the b is the y-intercept, which we can easily find from the graph. That's this point right here where it crosses the y-axis. In point slope form, you just need a point on the line. That's the x1 and the y1. And so we could pick any point on this line. We could even use the y-intercept, or we could use this point here or that point there. And then the m again is the slope. So you can write it in either slope-intercept form or point-slope form, and then convert those into standard form. But you're going to have to write it in one of these two forms. I'm going to choose to write it in slope-intercept form, just because if you look at slope-intercept form, it looks a little easier, and I think it's easier to change it into standard form once you have it in slope-intercept form. So we're going to go with slope-intercept form. So we need the slope, and the slope, the way we're going to find that, so m equals the slope, is rise over run. Hopefully you've heard that before. That's a terrible S, sorry. Rise over run. And so what we're going to do is pick 2 points on the line. So I'm going to use the y-intercept. That's a good point. And then I'm going to use this point here. And again, I'm looking for points that occur at intersections in the grid line so that I know the actual values of those. Um, so this, since the line, this is a decreasing function, the way the line's leaning. So I know right away that this is a negative slope. All right. So when I find my slope, I'm going to make it negative. If the line was leaning the other way, it would be a positive slope. So between these 2 points, I'm just going to do rise over run. I'm just putting these little marks here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to see how far I have to rise and how far I have to run. Now be careful in this graph, each of these blocks is 2 units. So we're moving by 2 here. So make sure you're careful of that. So the rise, back to my pen, the rise here is, I count 2, 4, 6, because again, we're counting by twos and goes up 3 blocks, so that's 6. And then the run up here, you just count blocks and you get 4. So the slope, rise over run, is 6 over 4, which we can simplify to 3/2. All right, so we're getting there. We got the M. Now we need the B. So the B, again, I said is the y-intercept. That's just where it crosses the y-axis. And so that would be 4. And hopefully you noticed I made a mistake on the slope. We already said this is a negative slope, so I need to put a negative sign in front of this. So super common mistake. I wish I could say I did it on purpose to show you what not to do, but I actually forgot. But luckily I remembered because I wrote negative slope over here. All right, so we got M and B. So now I'm going to take those and I'm going to plug them into the slope-intercept form. And so I'm going to end up with y equals M, which is -3/2 times x, and then the y-intercept's 4, and it's positive, so I write +4. Now we need to get this into standard form. So again, standard form, we wrote up here ax plus by equals c. You can see we need the x and the y on the same side. So we're just going to take this -3/2 x and move it to the other side by adding it to both sides. It's negative, so I'm going to add it on both sides. So let's do that next. So +3/2 x and +3/2 x on this side. Now, just to make it look like the actual standard form, instead of writing y plus 3/2 x, I'm going to write 3/2 x plus y. Mathematically, they'd be the same, but I just want it to look like the standard form. So 3/2 x plus y equals 4. And so you could leave your answer like that, but typically in algebra, we don't like to have fractions as coefficients here. So what we can do is we can multiply both sides of this equation by the denominator, which is 2, and that'll get rid of the fraction. So I'm going to multiply every term on both sides by 2. So that leaves me with 3x plus 2y equals 8. Now, the truth is, I don't really know when you take a standardized test if it would count this answer as wrong. It might count that as right. But just to be safe, if you end up with a coefficient that's a fraction, you should multiply everything by the denominator and get rid of that. All right. So there you go. Hopefully that helped you out. Keep working hard. You will master the math.